so back to what I was saying, inventory management. Extremely important. What we're looking at here is holding costs and shipping costs, right? It costs money for us to get our products. It costs money for us to hold the products. So we'll be looking and focusing on how to sort of be more efficient in eliminating these costs. So in this chapter, we're looking at trade-offs involving small versus large inventories. Do you order in bulk, right, in very sort of spread out time frames, or do you order consistently, small items in very frequent time frames? We're going to look at different types of inventory and the roles they play in the supply chain. We talked about inventory that's being transported, inventories that's not part of a finished good just yet, inventories that are finished goods ready to be sold. We explained some tactics for reducing inventories and using ABC analysis. ABC is just looking at the priorities of items to be sold. Kind of think of your 20-80 rule, which means 20% of the items that you have available to be sold probably makes 80% of the profit or income that you make, right? So you want to give priority to making sure you're stocked with your A's all the time, and give a less priority to your B's and C's, right? That's ABC analysis. We'll look at that. For most attention and tightest inventory. We'll calculate the economic order quality and apply it to various situations. We'll look at that formula, not a very complex one, but we'll try to break it down. Determine the order quantity and reorder point, right? Continuous review, and determine review interval and target inventory level for periodic review and inventory controls. So what is inventory management? Right? Here we want to plan and control inventories to meet competitive priorities of the organization. We want to have a plan on how often we reorder something, right? How often do we restock something? We want to look at the size and quantity of things that we restock. Are we ordering too much? Are we wasteful? Are we ordering too little in terms of the actual quantity of the items? So inventory here is defined as a stock of materials used to satisfy customer demand or to support the production of services or goods. So it says either finished products in some material form, or is something that is used in the production. So you say, well, I have inventory, as a barber, I have inventory of barber chairs, right? They're fixed to the floor, but I still own them as a company, right? And I can liquidate them if I have to sell business, but they are necessary to operating a barbershop, right? I don't have to reorder barbershop chairs frequently, but they're still part of the inventory in terms of the business, right? They help in the production of the services of barbershop. If we're Starbucks, then we're just looking really at the coffee that's there, the equipment that is there, the material items used to make the coffee, cups, and even maybe looking at seating arrangements and things like that. All right, so we're saying, what is the creation of inventory? We said we get input, flow of materials at our top. Right, so we have this vat of water that we're looking at. And we're looking at the output of flow at the bottom and the scrap flow, right? Output means where we're gonna produce some sort of income. Scrap will be things that could be wasted, right? There's all sort of ways in which things can be wasted. We'll look at that. And then we're gonna look at our level. How do we achieve the highest amount with the right amount of water coming out at the same time, right? So we're looking at creating some sort of efficient mechanism. All right, some pressures for small inventories, all right? Inventory holding costs. It costs money because you're paying insurance for the most part. You will be paying insurance, and you're also not selling the product that is up on your shelf or at your house or wherever you're holding it, right? Or at your storage area. The cost of capital, or where is it being held? You say, well, it's held at the storage unit. They charge me $300 a month, right? But then again, it also costs for me to purchase the inventory, and I purchased the inventory for $10,000. And now it's item sitting there for a month, that's a lot of money to spend without it being sold, so therefore we have an issue on our books. Storage and handling costs. In terms of handling, we're thinking of, well, how do we make sure that the inventory is going to be safe to be sold? Where are we storing it at? Is it secure? Will it get damaged? Is the humidity correct in my business for my bread? Right? Is it dry enough? Are people stealing at the job? Right? People stealing stuff? Like, yeah, I got employees, but they tend to steal. Human beings have a tendency to do that, right? Taxes. You're like, well, I gotta pay taxes because I got this storage facility, or bought another building or distribution center to hold some of the things, and now I got another tax burden. Insurance, right? If it is a large facility, you have a ton of inventory, say for like car dealerships, or manufacturers of cars, you're looking in the millions of dollars you could possibly pay in insurance, right? And then we say shrinkage. Shrinkage is any way that you're gonna lose your inventory. One, we say pilferage, which is theft, right? Theft either from customers, maybe you have your inventory exposed out too much, it makes it easy for people to steal. Maybe you don't have security available to protect your inventory, right? You should have some sort of system in place to monitor it. Maybe your employees are stealing. Maybe you as the owner is stealing too. Obsolescence, right? It says obsolete. There's something, technology that's no longer usable, viable, or it could even be anything else that's really just can't be used in the current moment. Deterioration, right? We say, hey, what are conditions it's under? Is it gonna deteriorate? Is it mold? Is it too moist? We're thinking of food, things not being sold as perishable goods quick enough, the items will deteriorate, and now they're useless and they're waste. Some pressures for large inventories, right? We said we got large inventories. Well, now you gotta have some customer service, right? You get millions of items to be sold. You have to have individuals to handle those millions of items. So maybe you have to have a whole separate department to manage the inventory. Maybe you as a small business owner can no longer do it yourself, and that's going to cost money. We say ordering costs, right? How much is it gonna cost for us to order our bread for the bakery? How much is it gonna cost us on Amazon to get our packages for pre-workout formulas, right? How much is it going to cost us to get the product here? That goes into our bottom line. Like, oh, okay, I'm gonna charge X, Y, Z to sell it, but I also get, in order to get it here, it costs money. Right? Not only do I gotta pay for it, I gotta pay for it to be transported here too. So how does that affect our profit margin? Am I gonna have to increase the prices on things, lower the prices? Setup costs. When we say some things are work in progress, you're building something. That's your business, you're a manufacturer, right? How long does it take to set up all these different parts of your inventory to create a finished product? But you run a completely inefficient operation because the setup cost is too long, right? Or even the setup to store the items themselves, right? They have to be transported to somewhere else to be stored. Labor and equipment utilization. We hold a ton of inventory because you're running complex production or factory. You have to utilize a lot of electricity and utilities to run the equipment, and you have to have a lot of people on board to either work on the machines, to repair them, to maintain them, to keep them operating, so that you're able to produce what you're there to produce. Then we said transportation costs and payments to suppliers and quantity discounts. So something to consider is you do want to try to have some sort of discount system in place with your suppliers, which comes with a good relationship. But at the same time, just like as you will go buy bulk at either Sam's Club or Costco, you can get discount based on just ordering more things in a more infrequent time. Right? And that way you can save money instead of having to reorder many, many times. And then we say accounting inventories. How do we account for it? It has to be written down on the book somewhere, right? We have to keep account of these things. One is raw materials. We're running a manufacturing facility, we're producing something. We have to keep track of every screw, nail, piece of wood, piece of metal, along with the machines, the people running them, all of the above, right? And that also goes into a work in process. We say we don't have a finished good, we're still building it. So we can't write it on the books as an item that's complete. We can just write it as individual items that's in process to be completed as a finished good. And then we have finished goods, which could be sold directly to our customers right then and there. So here's a diagram of inventory of successive stocking points. We say we start off here with our raw materials from our supplier. Right, we're looking here at bolts, right? So we start off with a sort of cylinder of metal. Right here we start to form the metal, skive it, do all sorts of things to create some sort of form. Here we go to our manufacturing plant, so we're kind of breaking it down. Now we got a bolt, the head of a bolt, but it's still a work in process. Finally, we get it together. The two are together, but they're not yet packaged, right? In order for it to be packaged, we gotta have SKUs and barcodes and label the price on it in some way. Then we'll send it over to a distribution center where it'll be held for some time before we're able to finally transport it over to a retailer, like a hardware store, a Menards, a Home Depot, something of the sort. You say all that time is being held in several different locations. One, it was held at the suppliers in raw form. Next, it was held here at the manufacturing plant so we could create the bulk. Then we had to put it for a distribution center for trucks to show up, right, on schedule and on time. Finally, to get it to the retailer. All the while, you say, well, this costs money, right? It costs money for the distribution center to send it off to the retailer. It also costs money for the manufacturing plant in order to send it to the distribution center. It costs money for the supplier to transport it over to the manufacturing plant. So they all have their own sort of systems in place and tactics on trying to save money throughout this transportation process. And it's difficult, it's complex, right? Because at the end of the day, it's going to eat into your bottom line when it finally gets into the hands of your customers. All right, so we got different types of inventory, right? We got cycle inventory, one in which we're very predictable. We're selling the same stuff all the time. We have a good idea of how much is sold in some sort of period of time, right? We can sort of predict the likelihood of what we'll need to order and what duration we need to order it in. All right, next we got safety stock inventory. We say, hey, just in case we get a surge in demand, we'll keep some extra somewhere. Maybe it's not on the site itself, maybe it's somewhere nearby, all right? Just in case I need something extra, we'll have some safety stock. Anticipation inventory, a little bit different. We say, well, we anticipate maybe a surge in some seasonal sort of aspect, right? Something that happens a little bit rare. And then we get pipeline. Pipeline is just constantly being moved or transported before it actually gets to us to be sold as some finished inventory. All right, so here are some lot size principles. So we're looking at the lot size, the batch size, right? What size of lot are you going to order in terms of quantity for things that are needed to operate your business? So here we're saying the lot size Q varies directly with the elapsed time or cycle between orders, right? So we're saying we're looking at one order to the next order, right? And that's why we'll have our cycle inventory with a denominator of 2. We're looking between orders. So the longer the time between orders for a given item, the greater the cycle inventory must be. So here we're saying with our average cycle inventory, we're looking from one inventory to the next. That's why we have 2 in our denominator. And then we're looking at our quantity. divide those two, and we'll be given the average cycle. When we say this is usually when it's consistent, item is highly to be predictable, we'll be selling. There's no really fluctuation or variety in this. These are things that are kind of our go-tos, right? Then we got our pipeline inventory. Remember we say things are constantly, could be moving before we actually get them there to be put on the shelves. So how do we go about measuring that sort of inventory in the pipeline system? We're looking at the average demand during lead time. And we say lead time is from initiation to completion, right? From when you order to when you sell, or either when you order to when you receive, right? Some initiation to completion. So we say our average demand during lead time would be D sub L. Our average demand for the items per period would be D, and the number of periods in the item's lead times will be L. And our pipeline inventory is D sub L equals DL, which is really just a multiplier of average demand for items in a certain given period, multiplied by the number of periods in the lead time. Here we give an example. A plant makes monthly shipments of electric drills to a wholesaler in average lot size of 280 drills. So you're getting drills of 280 in your size when it's being shipped over to you. The wholesaler's average demand is 70 weeks a drill, right? So 70 times 4 weeks will be 280. And the lead time from the plant is 3 weeks. So it takes about 3 weeks before you can get your 280 drills. The wholesaler must pay for the inventory from the moment the plant makes the shipment, right? So you have to think this is critical because you've actually paid money and now you're waiting, right? So if things don't work out well, you could be losing money. If the wholesaler is willing to increase his purchase quantity to 350 units, the plant will give priority to the wholesaler and guarantee a lead time of only 2 weeks. So the plant says, hey, if you order more, we'll get it quicker to you, right? Instead of 3 weeks to get it to you in 2 weeks, but you gotta order more. You gotta order more for bulk, right? So what is the effect on the wholesaler's cycle and pipeline inventory? So let's take a look. All right, so we say the wholesaler's current cycle and pipeline inventories are quantity over 2, right? And that's 140 drills. So we start with 280 drills we sell per period, and divided by 2, that's 140 drills. So our pipeline inventory is 70 drills, right, per week, because that's what we're doing, 4 weeks, 280 divided by 4. But it takes 3 weeks for us to get it. So we say our pipeline inventory is actually 210 drills, right? Because we said we're just dividing by the actual number of weeks that it takes to get all of the drills. All right, and with cycle inventory, we reduce the lot size, reduce ordering and setup costs, and allow quantity to be reduced. And secondly, increase repeatability to eliminate the need for changeover. So we got 2 options. Either we reduce the ordering and setup costs, or we increase repeatability. All right? So either we say we repeat ordering more frequently, or we reduce order and setup costs. And with safety stock inventory, we say we place orders closer to the time when they must be received. So this improves demand forecasts, cut lead times, reduce supply uncertainties, rely more on equipment and labor buffers. So with safety stock, it has to be more close to when you're actually gonna have some sort of demand for that item. What's our current time? We got the time. Okay. We'll leave off here. We'll come back to this on Friday. And if anyone's done their estimated costs on Friday, we'll get a couple of those first. All right, everyone, enjoy your day. See you on Friday.